everyone. Welcome to this very first MCA Training International podcast. We are really excited to get started with this podcast series. It's something that we've been wanting to do for a little while, and we feel that it's going to be of a lot of benefit to others and to be able to help just share a bit of our expertise in surrounding certain topics that we're going to be discussing in this series. So with me today, my name is Raynor. I'm a coach and facilitator for MCA Training International. And with me is Dave Boram, who's the founder and CEO of MCA Training International, as well as my father. So we're going to have a little discussion today around a certain topic. And we're going to be able to talk a little bit about a topic that I think is quite... you could say is a hot topic today in today's world, and that's resilience, and more specifically about how we can cultivate resilience and also bounce back from setbacks, which I think is quite an important topic and principle to discuss. Wouldn't you think, Dad?
Yeah, no, very much so, Randall. I think that, being able to bounce back from adversity or difficulties in life, which everybody has, everybody goes through that. We often hear the saying that life consists of hills and valleys, but often the best growth is in the valley. And so we all have those challenges, and how you bounce back from those challenges is what resilience is all about. And so it's important for us as human beings to develop our resilience, so to speak, and especially when it comes to leadership and parenthood, even to have that aspect of leadership or the characteristic of resilience in our arsenal.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that. So obviously this word resilience, as I mentioned before, is quite a hot topic today. Lots of people are talking about it. We've heard about many people ask us about that, and they ask us how we can develop resilience. That's why we're going to be talking about this today. I think the very first question that I'd like to ask you is, well, if resilience is so important, what is it? What is resilience? How would you define it?
Well, simply, it's bouncing back from adversity. It's really about what we call mental toughness. Is my mindset tough enough to deal with the challenges that come along, and to hang in there and to work through those challenges and not to give up that easily, etc. It's amazing how many people who are on the crest of achieving something who just give up, and so they never ever get to where they're really wanting to go, because they don't have the resilience, the toughness, the mental toughness, the attitude, so to speak, to help them work through it. That's really what resilience is all about, mental toughness at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I think with many people speaking about, obviously that, we speak about many people that have these uh, mental health issues. Again, it's something that's very important in the world today. I think this mental toughness can help with those sorts of things. Because a lot of the time, I think a lot of these mental issues and mental health issues that we have, which are very important and not to be laughed at or criticized or in any way. I think that if we could develop this mental toughness, it could really, really help us a lot with that. So I think what I'd like to ask you next, Dad, is then if obviously having this mental toughness, this resilience, this ability to bounce back, I can get the sense that it's really important. But why is it so important, especially for the world today, with the challenges that we face with the, this ever changing world? I guess it's changing all the time. We never know what the world is going to be like tomorrow. Why is this resilience so important for the world today?
Well, I think that when people go through challenges, and a lot of people are having to deal with this VUCA world, as it's been labeled, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world that we live in. And a lot of people are having to deal with these changes that are taking place, whether it be markets, the political realms, whether it be the pandemics that we've had, well, especially the COVID pandemic, and many, many other things that people are having to face nowadays, is that if I don't have that resilience, that mental toughness that we're speaking about to deal with these sort of things, I become the victim. And so everything is happening to me. And when everything's happening to me, I can't take responsibility for dealing with the issue that I'm having to deal with. And when I feel that everybody or everything is against me, I become even more and more depressed. And that mental health that you were speaking about earlier on becomes, or the lack of mental health, I should say, becomes a challenge for a lot of people because it's almost seen as being too difficult. And the problem is that when I play this challenge that I'm having over and over and over again in my mind, the challenge gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and I lose more hope that I can actually deal with it, and so I lose more resilience. What we're saying at the end of the day is that if I need to really work through those challenges, I need to certainly work on my mental attitude, my toughness. Am I grateful for what I have at the present moment? Am I open to new suggestions and to learn new things? Do I know myself effectively so that I know when these sort of issues are going to come on and I can deal with them and I can stop them, so to speak, from becoming bigger and bigger? And do I know what I can rely on? Do I have a support group that is around me, people that I can maybe talk to, or a person that I can talk to that can help me work through the challenge that I might have, or even give me a different perspective on that particular challenge? Because often we see things and we see these things as being so big and so challenging, when in actual fact they're not necessarily that at all. And I often say, when you get too involved in looking for the big issues in life, you can say that a little chihuahua looks like a huge Rottweiler, so to speak. But in actual fact, a lot of the issues that we face are not nearly as difficult as we perceive them to be.
Yeah, you said some important things like perception, the way we see things. I think that has to do again a lot with, yeah. You say that perhaps maybe it's the way we've been brought up, maybe conditioned, certain experiences that we've had before that has an impact on that. You said something there that when we have all these setbacks and these challenges in our lives, that we feel like we're the victim. What would you say to people that say, well, in some situations I am the victim here. I mean, I didn't ask for this to happen to me, so surely I have to be the victim in this situation.
Well, yeah, you have a choice. You have a choice to be the victim, or you have a choice to change that and become the victor. That's entirely up to you. And this is the whole thing. If I remain the victim, nothing changes. I've got to take the responsibility of changing that. And only I can do that. Too many people are waiting for somebody else or something else to change their circumstance. Please understand that it's absolutely imperative to know that you are the one. You are the key to your better future. You really and truly are. And you have the power, and you have the ability, and you have the attributes to help you to deal with that effectively. It's all about the mindset, changing that mindset, changing your practices, your behaviors, and then changing the results at the end of the day. And it's not something you have to change in one big shot. It's small little changes that make big, big differences going further down the road. But when you start saying, well, it's poor me, life is tough, I can't do anything about it, nothing changes at all. In fact, it only gets worse. The rut becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. And as we know, a rut is a grave without any end, so to speak.
Yeah, that's true. We don't want to get stuck in one of those, that's for sure.
Ah, not
Uh,
at all.
so, you know, I can see just how important this developing this resilience is. It's something that, I mean, we all can use in the world today, as we've discussed the many challenges that we face with the changes, the VUCA world you spoke of. What would your tips be then to people? Like for myself, how would I go about building this resilience? And can I build this resilience, or is it something that only the select few are lucky enough to be born with it? It's a talent inbred within them, or can this be something that I can develop? And if it can be, what would your tips be to help me to develop this resilience?
That's a good question. I think that, first of all, everybody can develop resilience. It's not reserved for a few select people. Anybody can develop that. And that's the most critical thing. We've got to believe that. We've got to understand it and know it. Then we have to have a big enough why. Why are you getting up every morning? Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you on this planet, so to speak? Because when you have a big enough why, when the challenges come in life, you're able to work through them because you're working towards your why. If you don't have that why, then anything that happens to you is perceived as being, oh, poor me. This is tough. What do I do with it? How can I deal with it? You need to have that big why. And as I said, Raynor, early on, we also need to be grateful for what we have. Every day, just write down 5 things that you're grateful for, that you're really and truly grateful for. You need to have an open mind to learn, to unlearn, to relearn on a continuous basis, to want to be curious, to want to learn, or to want to discover, to want to become something better. It's in your power, it's in everybody's power to be able to do exactly that.
No, that's really great advice. Thanks, Dad. I think, and these are like practical everyday things that we can do to develop this. It's not something too far fetched and out of reach for us. So I think that's very, very good practical advice. I think the last question that I perhaps have for you while I've got you here is that I think that there's obviously people, and I mean, it could be myself, it could be you. There's many people out there that seem to experience setback after setback after setback, and it gets really tough to continue on with this resilience, right? To not lose hope and to give up. What advice would you give to someone that perhaps is thinking, well, what's the point? That has lost all hope. How would you get how what advice would you give someone to that to sort of get back up and to keep going on, to reinstill and restore that hope in their lives?
Well, I think, Raynor, most importantly, as I said earlier on, is the reason for living, your reason for your existence, your why, so to speak, is really important. If you don't have that, and as I said, we all go through challenges. I mean, I've lost a child. I've lost my whole business many, many, many years ago. I lost everything I had. And you go through these different challenges and many challenges along the way. Dealing with those, knowing why you're dealing with that, builds that resilience so that you're able to handle the next challenge when it comes along in a more effective way. And it's and it's understanding that all these things, whether they be positive or negative, are giving you experience. As Nelson Mandela once said, I don't, and I never ever lose. I learn, and it's the important part of that is that we learn from these experiences that we have, that we go through, whether they be good, whether they be negative. We need to learn from that because learning is something that builds upon itself, and it helps us to become more empathetic, more understanding, more humble, more caring, more loving, more generous, more respectful, more civil, more uh, more human, if you like. And so, to me, that's an extremely important part of life, to deal with our challenges that come along in small parts and to work through them, to let go, not to hold on to that past, but to let go of it and move forward towards your why.
Yeah, it's all about having that really important, big, powerful why. I think that will push us along and will help us through these challenges that we always face. And yeah, I think that what I got from that is that there's always hope. If you have that big, powerful why, there's always that hope that you can make it through and that you can achieve your dreams and towards the success that you want in your life. And I think that's really important to never lose that hope. So thank you so much, Dad. I really appreciate it. I've
Well,
enjoyed listening to you from your immense wisdom and experience that
thanks, Ray.
you're able to draw from and to share with us. If you all of you who are listening and that are watching, if you've enjoyed this podcast, please remember to like it, to share it with someone that you feel that would benefit from it. Uh, like our channels on whatever wherever you listen to or watch your podcasts, so that you don't miss out on our future podcasts that we'll be sharing in the series. We've got some really good topics that we're going to be going through that we know that will really help you, that will give you a lot of insight and perhaps change your perception of what you currently think maybe your life is like, what the world is like, and hopefully help you maybe if you're in the rut, as my father spoke about earlier, or maybe you're losing this hope, or whatever the case may be. Maybe you just need some advice on something in your life that will help to motivate you, inspire you, whatever it might be. We know that those will be able to share that with you and be able to help you through that. We're going to have lots of lovely guests, different guests, and experts on these different fields and topics that we'll be speaking on as well. So please like and share, and we look forward to welcoming you back onto the next podcast in the series. Thank you so much. Cheers, everyone.